The sharp wail pierced through the quiet morning air as the black Lexus rolled to a stop near the curb. Hands steady on the steering wheel, Maya looked up into her rearview mirror, and froze. 2 police officers were approaching. One was already shouting. "Step out of the vehicle. Keep your hands where I can see them." Maya blinked. For a second, her mind didn't connect the words to her. She was wearing a navy blue business suit, her ID badge still clipped to her lapel. Court was in 30 minutes. "Ma'am, now." She stepped out slowly, heart pounding. Before she could speak, the taller officer pointed to the Lexus. "This car was reported stolen." Maya's breath caught. Her voice cracked. "What?" He cut her off. "We need to confirm your identity. Put your hands on the hood." As her palms touched the hot metal, Maya felt 100 things at once: fear, confusion, disbelief. She wasn't just a lawyer. She was a civil rights attorney. And this felt wrong. Very wrong. Seconds that felt like years. The officer's grip tightened on her arm. "Are you armed?" "No, my badge is here," she replied, fumbling to unclip it. She showed the badge, her license, everything. The lead officer crouched to examine the plates. "Vince clean, but our dispatch says the car was stolen last night off 12th Street. Maya's chest tightened. She had parked on 12th just 2 nights ago, but that was a public, legal space. And the car belonged to her. She pinched the bridge of her nose, breathing shallow. "Can I call my office? Someone will verify." He shook his head. "You'll come with us to the station." His tone offered no choice. The second officer popped open the back door. "Get in here." He gestured. Maya swallowed raw fear and slid into the squad car, her mind running through possibilities. Mistaken identity? A dispatch error? A reporter setting her up? None made sense, but her world tilted. Silence and sirens. Lights spun as they left her parked Lexus. Maya pressed her forehead against the cool window. The city blurred by, morning joggers, a delivery driver setting packages down, a couple sipping coffee at a cafe table. Life moved normally around her crisis. At the station, officers led Maya inside, her footsteps echoing in the sterile hall. No lawyer, no cell phone, just her against the might of the law. They took her statement. She repeated the facts: her name, license, ownership documents. She described where she bought the car, year, color, every detail. "Everything checks out," she insisted. Yet when she asked about surveillance or witnesses, the lead officer shrugged. "Your car was reported stolen. We have procedures." Maya's chest tightened again. "So I'm a suspect?" "We're investigators, not prosecutors," he said. "Just stay calm." Calm. She felt anything but calm. Web of questions. They fingerprinted her. Took photos. Checked her phone for lock screen video. Vulnerable people depending on her representation. They would wait. Some might lose trust. She pictured her assistant's face when the trial didn't start. The thought pulled tears to her eyes. Then, a junior officer approached with a file. They called her into a narrow room with one camera. Glassy table, 2 chairs. "Ms. Carter," he began, clearing his throat. "We found conflicting reports. We pulled records from DMV, plate 7XQH52 was reported stolen. But your VIN appears on a different file." He paused. "Have you ever sold or lent this car?" Maya's mind raced. She had lent it last month, no, 2 months ago, to her brother, Jake. She had signed forms. He was living out of town but returned it the next day. But did she give proper notice? There were emails, text messages. Your brother, Jake Carter? She nodded. Yes. We contacted him. He said he sold the car. What? That's impossible. Jake couldn't sell it. Last time she heard from him was over text. Returned Lexus safe and sound. He'd messaged again to confirm gas tank was full. And that was it. She stood, voice shaking. Where is he now? Officer paused. He hasn't responded in 2 days. We're trying to locate him. Maya's throat went dry. She gazed at the ceiling, shoulders trembling. Something was deeply wrong. Fear rising. They left Maya alone in the narrow room, monitor light flickering. The silence pressed on her. She tried to breathe evenly, pressed her hands against her chest. She thought of her mother across the country, likely unaware of this nightmare. She thought of the clients counting on her courtroom presence. Her phone buzzed on the hallway table. She stayed, rooted. After 10 minutes, the door opened. The junior officer entered. Ms. Carter, our tech team pulled security footage from the 12th Street lot. We saw a dark figure near your car around midnight. Maya's stomach turned. I was asleep. My alarm went off at 6:30. They can't make out the face, but whoever it was cut the lock manually. He slid an image across the table, grainy night footage of an indistinct person standing by the Lexus. Tall, wearing dark clothes. Maya leaned forward. Could it have been an ex-client with a grudge? Maybe. A stalker? But her last case involved local housing rights. Not exactly the sort to involve car theft. My brother could be lying, she whispered. Maybe he's in trouble. He's under no obligation to cooperate, the officer said. But we're going to need you to list everyone who had access to your car. Maya exhaled slowly, then began naming, Jake, her assistant Sarah, even the valet at the fundraiser 3 weeks ago. Anyone you can think of. Decisions in the night. By the time she left the station, evening had fallen. City lights reflected in the rain-puddled streets. The Lexus was still in police impound. Maya had to get a ride home, by herself. She sat in the back of a rideshare, silent. The driver asked if she was okay. She forced a smile. Take it easy. At home, she collapsed on the sofa. Sleep eluded her. She grabbed her phone and called Jake, straight voicemail. Beep, Jake, it's Maya. Call me, please. Her voice quivered. She reached for her laptop. She needed to find anything, texts, emails, receipts, anything to prove she hadn't sold the car. Her assistant Sarah called. Maya, what happened? Are you okay? Maya blinked back tears. She explained, voice tight. Sarah gasped. This is huge. We need to find your brother. Can you help? Already on it. I'll check his activity. Someone might know. Maya logged every access, read every message. She found a text from Jake last month. Thanks sis, gas tank full, car's great. She rubbed her eyes. That was before everything went sideways. She hadn't heard from him since 2 days ago. Sarah would find more soon. She realized how vulnerable she felt, a respected lawyer with unwavering confidence. Now powerless, emails full of defense documents, keys locked away, phone lines silent. 1:14 a.m. Maya stared at her phone. The call log showed the missed call from an unlisted number. No voicemail. No text. Just the sound of a breath, and a click. Her skin tingled. She wanted to dismiss it as a prank, a coincidence, but after everything that had happened that day, every unknown became a threat. And this one felt close. She tapped Sarah's name in her favorites and hit call. "Sorry," Maya whispered when Sarah picked up. "I know it's late. I'm up." "Couldn't sleep," Sarah said, instantly alert. "Did something happen?" Maya told her about the call. Sarah didn't hesitate. "I'll trace it." Maya smiled faintly, grateful for Sarah's calm. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. This is weird, Maya. Really weird. You sure Jake wasn't in trouble before? I thought I knew everything about him." Maya looked around her quiet apartment, too quiet now. Curtains pulled, doors locked, alarm set. But the unease lingered. She could feel it in the walls. A brother gone silent. By morning, Maya had only managed a few hours of sleep. Her court case had to be postponed, again. She wore a gray sweater and jeans instead of her usual crisp suit, sat at her kitchen counter with black coffee and an empty stomach, and opened her laptop. There were no new texts from Jake. No social media activity. Nothing in the family WhatsApp group. Her mother had sent a photo of her garden the night before, unaware that Maya had been pulled into a mystery. Sarah messaged at 7:11 a.m. "Sarah, I checked the number. Burner phone. Bought with cash in East Oakland 3 days ago. No linked ID. Maya, could be Jake. Sarah, could be anyone." Maya scrolled through her old messages with Jake. His last check-in had been simple, "All good on my end." That was 4 days ago. Backtrack. Maya drove a rental to Jake's last known address, a duplex apartment near the edge of Berkeley. He'd been living there for 6 months. And she had respected that. Now she regretted it. The building looked the same, brown bricks, cracked walkway, ivy creeping over the side. She knocked. No answer. She knocked again, then tried the door. Unlocked. "Jake," she called out, stepping inside cautiously. It smelled musty. Dishes were stacked in the sink. A TV remote on the couch. A phone charger on the floor. The fridge hummed quietly. Nothing looked stolen or broken, but nothing looked touched either. It felt like Jake had simply disappeared. She found his backpack near the front door, half-packed. Inside, a toothbrush, charger, socks, a folded map of California with places circled. A flight itinerary from 2 weeks ago, one way to Denver, unused. Maya sat on the couch, her knees shaky. Where had he gone? A knock at her own door. That evening, Maya returned home exhausted. Her thoughts ran in circles, the car, Jake, the burner phone, the grainy footage. The unknown. At 8:47 p.m. There was a knock at her door. She paused. Checked the peephole. A man stood outside in a dark hoodie, unshaven, eyes darting nervously. Not a neighbor. Not a friend. "Who is it?" she called. The man leaned closer. "You're Maya Carter?" "Who's asking?" "I knew your brother," he said. "Jake. I think he's in danger." Maya's heart slammed in her chest. She opened the door only partway, the security chain still attached. "What do you mean danger?" "I can't talk out here. Someone's watching." She hesitated. "Then tell the police." "They won't believe me." "But you might. You're a lawyer, right?" Maya studied him, paranoid, eyes tired. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "I need something real," she said. He reached into his pocket. Pulled out a folded paper. A police report, dated 3 weeks ago. Filed in another name. But the description matched Jake. Suspicious person spotted near a warehouse. No charges. Left before officers arrived. Why was he there? Maya asked. He was investigating something, the man whispered. Something about the car. He said it wasn't just a car. What does that mean? The man stepped back. He said someone planted something in it. And then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the night. An unexpected visitor. The next morning, Maya arrived at her law office to find someone already waiting. An older woman, mid-60s, gray scarf, holding a cane. She looked hesitant but determined. I'm looking for Maya Carter, she said. That's me. My name is Eleanor Reeves. Jake used to help me. With my son. Your son? He died. Last year. Police said it was a drug overdose. Jake didn't believe them. Maya gestured for her to sit. Her hands shook as she poured the woman a cup of water. Jake said something wasn't right about the death. He was digging into the hospital records. He thought someone was covering something up. Maya blinked. Why would that lead to him being followed? Because he thought it had to do with a company that was funding the hospital. Maya's brain clicked. A major pharma firm, quietly backing city hospitals, was recently in the news for illegal testing abroad. Jake must have been onto something. The discovery in the Lexus. Later that afternoon, Maya was finally allowed to retrieve her Lexus from the impound lot. It looked untouched. But after everything she'd heard, she couldn't see it the same way. She searched it inch by inch. Nothing in the glove compartment. Trunk, empty. But then, under the driver's seat, taped to the frame beneath the mat, a small USB drive. Her breath caught. She slid it into her bag and drove home, heart racing. Plugged it into her laptop. Files loaded. Encrypted folders. One open document. Project GRX internal memo, for executive review only. Subject, Trial Compound 49B, distribution to East Bay recovery units authorized under Quiet Channel. No public reporting until Q3. Participant consent waivers are being arranged retroactively through legal channels. Dr. Albrecht. Maya stared. GRX. That was the same pharma firm Jake had mentioned in passing. She remembered now, one dinner, one random conversation. She had brushed it off then. But now? It was a ticking bomb. The threat becomes real. At 11:32 p.m., her laptop crashed. Screen went black. Restart failed. She reached for the USB drive. Gone. She had left it plugged in. Had she? Maya spun around. Her living room window was open slightly. She hadn't opened it. Her legs froze. Phone buzzed. Unknown number again. She answered, voice hoarse. Who is this? A digitized voice replied. Stop digging. Or you'll be next. Then the line went dead. Maya drove through the dimly lit streets, her mind racing faster than the car. It was past midnight and the air had a charged stillness. Her hands were tight on the wheel, knuckles white. She had come from Jake's apartment building, with police tape and a dread she couldn't shake. He was gone, just like that, vanished without a trace. And she was left wondering who would benefit from erasing him. Or her. The secret contact. Back home, Maya burned the midnight oil. The stolen USB, the threat call, the missing brother, it was more than enough to drown her. But one detail lodged in her thoughts, the memo about Trial Compound 49B and GRX's covert operations. That piece alone was explosive enough to destroy reputations, fortunes, even lives. To understand it, she needed help, but she couldn't rely on the police. They'd mishandled the stolen car, then let her brother disappear. She needed a safer ally. She messaged Eleanor Reeves, the grieving mother who had mentioned Jake's hospital investigation. Eleanor, she typed, we need to meet. I think Jake discovered GRX testing on vulnerable people. Seconds later, a reply, meet me at Pines Cafe, 10 a.m. Bring everything you have. Dark corners and old files. At 10 a.m. Maya stepped into Pines Cafe, a cozy favorite near her law office. Sunlight spilled onto rustic wooden tables. Eleanor sat at a back booth, gray bamboo cane resting against her chair, eyes tired but resolute. Maya slid into the seat. Thanks for coming. Eleanor nodded. I found something. I visited the hospital records office. She opened her bag and pulled out a folder. Inside, patient intake sheets marked, confidential, and, agreement waiver, GRX oversight. These, Eleanor said softly, are waivers signed by patients, without their consent. Jake uncovered them. Maya gasped. These are real names, low-income patients, homeless, drug rehab. Eleanor's voice shook. They didn't know they were participating in a trial. They thought they were getting help. That's huge, Maya whispered. She felt fear flicker in her chest. And dangerous. GRX will do anything to silence this. Eleanor's lips pressed together. Yes. That's why Jake went into hiding. He told me that. He said he was onto something big, something that reached away from California. Maya placed her hand on Eleanor's. We have to be careful, but we need evidence. Anything else? Eleanor pulled another paper. Jake met someone, a lab tech or assistant. They were questioning protocol. They left a message, meet me at Dock 9 tomorrow. But that was days ago. Maya swallowed. Dock 9. Maybe that's where Jake wanted to bring us. Or where someone knew something. Eleanor nodded slowly. I kept the note. But we don't know who wrote it. Maya felt the barrel of unknown pressing at her back. Still, the fire grew in her eyes. We find Dock 9. We get answers. Crypto clues in an old notebook. Back in her home office, Maya flipped through the laptop's lock screen backup. She found something she'd overlooked, a screenshot, a snippet of encrypted text on Jake's desktop background, dated 2 weeks ago. She typed it into a notes app. Pearl. Copy edit. GRX49B at Dock 9 #midnight. DX $7 test lab. Check ID. PX 392 of 49. Her stomach dropped at each line. It matched the memo header on the USB, 49B, trial compound, Dock 9. She's seen movie plots less mysterious. She tried to trace the IP source, no luck. Encrypted, anonymous. She didn't even know if Dock 9 was in Oakland or San Francisco or somewhere else. She printed out the notes, the memos, and patient sheets. She grouped them into folders. Memoranda. Patient waivers. Jake's encrypted note. Her phone dinged. Sarah, found Jake's Apple Watch. Last ping at Pier 80, SF. A city of docks and secrets. Maya stared at her screen. Pier 80. That's not Dock 9, but it's the same waterfront. Dock systems run north-south. Pier 80 is south of the city. Dock 9 could be farther north, maybe near Treasure Island or around Alameda. The sunset would come soon, and with it, fewer witnesses and more shadows. She packed a backpack, laptop, printed documents, phone charger, small flashlight, pepper spray, legal self-defense, and her attorney badge. Just in case. She called Sarah. Let's go. I'm heading to the piers. Wait, Sarah said. This is dangerous. Let me check city permit logs, shipping manifests, whatever we can find on Dock 9. Maya hung up and locked the door. Something tighter than usual. Fear? No. Determination. Doc 9. By 5 p.m., Maya and Sarah were in the Mission District, parking near the waterfront. The air smelled of salt and diesel. Container ships loomed. Security gates were locked, but some piers had gaps where workers accessed. They walked cautiously toward Pier 81st. It was deserted. Large metal crates stacked, fog drifting low, water lapping. Maya held her phone, GPS open, then switched to compass. She followed the structure's numbering. Pier 88, 82. 80, then 78, and lost numbering south. Odd. Dock 9 didn't align. She asked a dockworker nearby, wearing an orange vest. Dock 9? She asked tentatively. He eyed them. Not in this port, ma'am. This is Pier 80 to 94. Dock 9's in Alameda, off Bay Farm Island. Maya and Sarah exchanged glances. Alameda meant crossing the bay. Evening was coming fast. Dock 9 was getting closer. Under pressure. Maya drove over the bay bridge, golden light fading. Her heart hammered. Sarah sat in the passenger seat, looking up Dock 9 coordinates. They parked near a small marina, old warehouses shadowed across canal arms. Dock 9, one warehouse at canal's end, rusted sign overhead. Broken windows. Creeping ivy. No electricity, no people passing. They walked quietly toward the building, eyes darting. Sarah stopped near a locked door. Metal plate screwed over the handle, no recent entry. Maya looked around. She pressed her ear to the door. Nothing. Except a low hum. A generator perhaps? Sarah took out her phone. Let me check video logs. She tapped. Nothing recent, but there was a power outage here last week for 3 hours. Maya's jaw clenched. That could have been when Jake came here. They walked around to the water side. A wooden dock jutting into water, rotting planks. A ladder down. On the dock, footprints. Sand, bits of rubber-soled shoes. Leading to a trapdoor welded to metal flooring. Jake must have come here, Maya whispered. They pried the plate off. Underneath, a bulkhead door, padlocked. Sarah pulled out bolt cutters, cheap quality but still effective. With effort, she cut the lock, wheels spun, metal fell. The hatch opened to a stairwell going down, into darkness. Water dripped. The air smelled stale. They flicked on flashlights and slipped inside. Descent. Down the stairs into a narrow corridor, concrete walls grimy and slick. The corridor opened into a large room, an abandoned warehouse floor, but on one side a set of glass windows, rusted tables, metal cabinets, and, against one wall, an electrical panel with wires for a generator/hot power connection. They moved slowly, scanning the room. Look, Sarah said, pointing. On the floor, broken, half-empty vials labeled 49B. Some leaked. A trail of liquid led to stairs down further, into an even darker area. Maya felt dread. She lifted one vial. This is Jake's 49B. Sarah checked her watch. We should get evidence, photos, samples. Maya pulled her cell phone camera, snapping shots of writing on vials, trial batch number 372. She spotted a laptop on a table, open but asleep, next to it a chair toppled on its side. They approached it. Screen off, then flicked on auto when Maya touched the space bar. A login screen with Dr. Albrecht. Maya paused knowingly. Dr. Albrecht had signed the memo. She whispered, should we boot it? Sarah hesitated. Are you suggesting we hack it? We don't know what's on there, or whether someone is tracking these machines remotely. A humming click. The generator's engine stopped outside, an ominous sign. Had someone been watching? They heard distant footsteps on the floor above. A heavy door dragged open somewhere. Maya looked at Sarah. "We're not alone." Cornered. They shut the laptop quietly. Flashlights already off. Heartbeats loud in their ears, they backed toward stairs. A shadow moved then, two figures, silhouetted in pale light. One carried a gun. Sarah gasped silently, Maya covered her mouth. They needed to make a decision, run upstairs and chance being trapped, or hide below and hope the intruders would go away. Maya made a choice. She grabbed Sarah's arm. "Follow me, back to the door." They crouched low and tiptoed toward the trapdoor exit. Footsteps echoed. Dark shapes moved toward the stairwell. Close. Too close. Maya hopped through the hatch and slammed the weight on it. Sarah tried locking it but it wouldn't latch, metal warped. They pressed their backs to the cold ground outside. Steps descended, too deep, calculated. One of the intruders carried a flashlight, sweeping across the hatch. Maya and Sarah froze, breath shallow, pressing shoulders into the ground until the corridor light passed. Silence. The generator sputtered back on, light spilled from the windows. Through a narrow crack, they saw a tall woman in a lab coat, Dr. Albrecht's assistant maybe, shake her head and point to flashlights. A low voice, "They're here. Find them. Escape." Maya grabbed Sarah. "Run." They bolted across the dock platform, adrenaline surging. Wooden planks creaked underfoot. They ran toward the water's edge by memory, where they came down, and leapt into the canal. Cold water slammed them as they fell below the surface. Instinct told them to surface, fast. They kicked to shore, coughing. The night air hit them hard, lunges for breath. They sprinted barefoot across the muddy shore, dripping, toward a break in the warehouse fencing. Miraculously, in their panic, they found it. They stumbled out and into a narrow service street, dripping and desperate. They heard hurried footsteps behind but didn't look back. They kept running until they reached Maya's car on the street. Just before 2 a.m. Back at Safe House, Temporee. Inside the rental car, they dialed Sarah's backup number, someone she trusted, deep clean tech whiz, named Luis. He answered groggily. "Maya? Are you safe? We got 49B vials, plus photos. They're watching us. We need safe place." There was a pause, then, head to Shoreline Park. Near San Mateo Bridge. Wait at the gazebo by the east path. I'll meet you. They drove silently, adrenaline thrumming, checking mirrors. At the gazebo, Luis was waiting, wired, tense. He ushered them to his car. Luis drove fast back to his house, hidden within miles of warehouses, where they caught their breath. The evidence. Luis unpacked a small drive, and with node coding, decrypted the laptop login screen and bypassed the login, just enough to grab screenshots of encrypted email addresses labeled GRX executives, file metadata, date, internal email threads referring to Phase 3 and, if this leaks before approval, liability risk. Maya stared. This was enough to show illegal testing, withheld consent, and intrusions on patients. She looked down at the printed document, Jake's note about meeting at Dock 9, a trap? A handshake gone wrong? Her mind spun. This was bigger than doctors or lawyers, it was criminal, corporate fraud, maybe even manslaughter. Dawn of defiance. Early morning light slipped through the blinds, painting long shadows across the room where Maya, Sarah, and Luis huddled around a laptop. The air was thick with fear, but a fierce sense of purpose had replaced panic. At 9:15 a.m., Maya scrolled through the live surveillance image, herself and Sarah, tired and damp, in Luis's basement. She swallowed. "They know where we are," Luis said, voice low. "They're watching. We need to move fast." Maya clicked through folders, the decrypted laptop files, photos of GRX vials, patient waivers, and email threads. Each click made her heart pound. These weren't just documents, they were evidence. Real, undeniable proof of illegal experiments and hiding criminal behavior. But noon deadline, Sarah reminded, pointing to her phone with a countdown clock. Delete or else. Maya exhaled. We go public. We file with the press, send to authorities, NGOs. We drop the files and force transparency. She tapped a folder and dragged it into a public share folder. Luis objected. These people are powerful. GRX has lawyers, security, PR, they'll bury us. Maya met their eyes. That's why we do it now. Before they can silence us. Sarah nodded. I've assembled all investigative documents, metadata, hospital waivers, Doc 9 evidence, GPS info. We upload in 15 minutes. Luis made a quick nod. He scrolled to a folder titled Maya Carter _public release and pressed upload. Shockwaves begin. Within minutes, the documents went live. A link was shared on a whistleblower forum, 3 ethics watchdog groups, and a few news outlets with a tip. Headlines flashed. Leaked files reveal GRX illegally tested compound 49B, hundreds at risk. Maya's heart thudded. Within seconds, replies flooded in, comments, shares, demand for answers. Sarah's phone buzzed non-stop. They're responding already, Sarah said, scrolling. Journalists are picking it up. One said they'll publish at 10:30. Maya exhaled slow. They got it. Now comes the flood. GRX responds. By 10 a.m., GRX issued a statement through its PR team. We take patient safety seriously. Any use of compound 49B was approved by our ethics board and conducted with full oversight. We will conduct an internal review. Maya felt a chill. The statement sounded neutral, legal, it didn't deny wrongdoing but didn't admit either. They had already mobilized controls. They're going defensive, Sarah said. Watching reactions, probably collecting what we exposed. Maya typed a reply on the forum. No. There was no oversight. People signed waivers they couldn't read. She added screenshots of signed waivers, internal emails flagged by Dr. Albrecht, and Doc 9 photos. Media explosion. At 10:30 a.m., Maya's email inbox chimed. A reporter from a major investigative news site, Bay Truth. Wanted an interview. The reporter offered to come to their location. Luis tensed. We can't let them come here. Maya nodded. We'll do it in a public place. Coffee shop downtown? Sarah added, ideal, public, but not too loud. Let's outline barista background noise. They chose portside espresso near the Embarcadero, surveillance, but neutral. In public eye. By 11:15 a.m., Sarah, Luis, and Maya walked into the cafe, carrying documents and laptops in messenger bags. The reporter, a woman with a calm demeanor, met them at a side table. Once inside, cameras and earbuds hidden on the table recorded everything. The reporter typed fast. Walk me through what happened, she said. Maya began, the pulled-over story, the missing brother, the USB memo, Doc 9 evidence, and surveillance threats. Sarah chimed with dates and file details, Luis explained metadata. Their tone was controlled, emotional, real. When Maya handed over the share link to additional files, the reporter nodded gravely. This is strong. We'll publish hour-long video, story, and documents tomorrow morning. I'll request comment from GRX on camera. The backlash. They left the cafe, senses alert. Maya's phone buzzed again, another unknown. Caller ID, blocked. She ignored it. Sarah and Luis looked drained. "I'm scared," Luis admitted softly. "They could track us through this place too." They agreed to go separate ways from the cafe, no car, no phones. Maya took a rideshare to a friend's house, Sarah used a scooter, Luis walked in shadows, encrypted phone calls later with updates. At 12:05 p.m., Maya's phone flared, notifications from listeners and readers. The article had gone up. Headline on Maya's screen. Civil rights lawyer exposes GRX's secret drug lab holiday doc, company under fire. Her heart raced. Comments loaded quickly, all outraged, curious, emotional. Messages poured in. "Thank you, Maya. This is brave. I had a waiver, they hid side effects. My friend worked at Doc 9. He left quietly." Within the initial 60 minutes, the story went viral across social media. But soon, news channels called. Maya's phone, now a lifeline, was buzzing relentlessly. Every call made her pulse jump. Hidden threats. By mid-afternoon, GRX issued a legal threat: the leak violates confidentiality agreements. We reserve the right to take legal action against unauthorized distribution and any individuals responsible for disseminating altered or false documents. It was a lawyer-speak knife. Muted apology but steel inside. Maya closed her eyes. "Here it comes." Sarah buzzed, "We're circulation limited." GRX also filed a DMCA takedown request. Maya replied, "That's normal. Public opinion matters more. Facts are facts." A ghost from the past. At 3:30 p.m., Maya headed to a secured storage unit where she kept client files. A friend from her firm, Tony, drove her. His voice was low, concerned. "Are you okay?" Maya shrugged. "Scared but ready." Tony nodded, handing her lunch bag. "Just. Please be safe." Inside the unit, Maya checked lockbox, grabbed legal paperwork, scanned her Know Your Brother notes. She had to build a case for Jake's disappearance and illegal testing. She added patient records, screenshots of email threads, current case-related Guardian memo. Date, April 7. GRX needs offline waivers signed no later than Q2, investor note specifically says, limit oversight. Cross-referencing all documents, she built a legal file like a fortress. The missing brothers' discovery. Back at Sarah's rented workspace, quiet, monitored zone, Maya, Sarah, and Tony gathered around. Sarah pointed her tablet to a FedEx tracking number from Jake's Apple Watch data. It delivered a small package, 2 weeks ago, to a private P.O. box near San Jose. Inside, a keycard with company ID, anonymous. No name/title. And a USB drive, encrypted. Maya looked at Tony. "Find out who registered that box." "P.O. officer data, holds info." Tony tapped his tablet, quietly. "Redacted, but it's registered to Project GRX Secure." Eyes widened. "There's a secure facility in San Jose, far from docks," he continued. "Probably where they process trial data." Maya closed her eyes, voice hardening. Jake went deeper than Doc 9, he found the processing center. Sarah took the USB drive and inserted it into her encrypted safe laptop. Files decrypted, photos, video footage, document scans, trial compound 49B containers being prepared in labs, blood samples tagged, patient identifiers flagged. They watched a video clip, a lab tech pipetting red liquid into labeled tubes. The file named demo6_GRP49B_lab.mp4. Timestamp, 2 weeks ago, just days before Jake disappeared. The file froze. They all sat frozen. If Jake filmed it, that's footage of crime with traceable faces, vials, labels. Public attention and private fear. At 6 p.m., Maya's phone rang. Local news anchor invited her to appear live at 8 p.m. to discuss the leaked evidence. "This could change everything," Sarah whispered. "It's your moment. But our exposure will be total." Maya inhaled deep. "We can't hide now." A tense calm before more storms. After the doorbell moment, Maya and Sarah sit in uneasy silence. The envelope's message, "We own him now," is not just chilling words, it's a declaration of power. Maya clutches the photo of Jake, frightened but resolute. Sarah stands near the door, backpack and data drive in hand. They're ready to run if forced. Still, they know flight won't solve this, exposure is their weapon and their target. A night interrupted. At 8 p.m., Maya is live on local news, flanked by Sarah and the reporter from Bay Truth. The broadcast covers the leaked evidence, the lab footage, GRX's response. Maya speaks firmly and visibly shaken. "This isn't theory. It's documented. GRX illegally tested on vulnerable people. I seek accountability, not sensationalism." Off-screen, Sarah texts Luis, "Did he pick up any sign of pursuit? The drive home will be under constant fear. Return to shadows." After the broadcast, Maya and Sarah leave quietly. They avoid their homes entirely. Instead, Maya stays with a trusted friend out of state, Sarah sleeps in cheap motel. Every knock, every car outside, is a threat. They double-check locks, disable trackers, and encrypt all communications. But the feeling of being watched is real. Surveillance blurred out of car windows, darkened windows across the street, distant footsteps echoing at the motel corridor. Luis goes off-grid. Luis disappears after midnight. He sends one message, "Safe. Lay low. Catch up tomorrow." Then nothing. Maya frets. Without Luis they can't maintain data security or counter-surveillance. But she presses on. Searching for answers, and Jake. Maya and Sarah reassemble in a rented workspace to regroup. They still hold powerful evidence, lab videos, photos, internal emails. But they also now must push to find Jake. That photo in the envelope, it was recent, someone had taken it recently. So maybe he's alive. But where? Sarah redials the lab text burner provided earlier, from part 2. This time it's answered, but only briefly. "You shouldn't have done it," the voice says. "Better to back off. You're in over your head." Click. Disconnected. Clues, lab tech afraid, but still watching. The media responds, public outrage and corporate pressure. By morning, the story has gone national. Headlines across major outlets, civil rights lawyer exposes corporate lab. Social media floods with outrage, survivors of drug trials speak up, medical ethicists weigh in. NGOs call for congressional hearings, state attorney general issues statement probing wrongdoing. Maya and Sarah watch from hiding, heart pounding but determined. But they also see darker news. A person of interest, in Jake's disappearance, unidentified woman, was seen on security camera near warehouse last week. No confirmation. But it fuels hope. Maybe Jake is alive, and this person had contact. A cry for help, a breakthrough. Late afternoon, Sarah receives a desperate message from the lab burner contact. "Meet at discreet location, taco truck, East Oakland, 5 p.m. Come alone. I have answers." Maya protests. Sarah says she's willing. They compromise, Maya and Sarah both go, but split up until moment of contact. Under the neon light. 5 p.m., taco truck near freeway underpass. Buzzing with the usual mix of drivers, blue-collar workers and late shoppers. Neon lights reflect off wet pavement. Sarah sits in her car across the street. Maya parks, steps in line for food, scanning the crowd. Then she hears a voice behind. "You Maya Carter?" She turns. A tired, anxious-looking young woman, lab assistant, wets her hair, hood up. Maya nods. They exchange brief words, step aside. Truth becomes dangerous. 1. Lab assistant, "My name's Priya. I worked for GRX at Dock 9. Then in San Jose." She glances around nervously. "I saw Jake. He didn't vanish, he got too close. I heard the phone call, get him. He was taken." Maya's breath caught. 2. Priya hands Maya a microSD card. Videos. Interviews. "He went into hiding with me once. I kept files." Maya opens the card on her phone, sees shaky footage of Jake and Priya talking in car, him holding camera, her filming. They whisper about releases, ratcheting voice. "Jake, no more leaving this uncorrected. Priya, we have to get it all out, before they lock it up." Camera shakes. Footage ends. 3. Behind them they hear a loud crash, the taco cart's neon sign flickers. Priya's eyes widen. She grabs Maya's hand, yanks it. "You need to disappear." She pushes past Maya and runs toward a van pulling up. The sliding door opens, she jumps in. It speeds off. In the chaos, both Maya and Sarah scatter. Flashback memory, Priya's look before disappearing, a mix of fear and hope. What they gained, and what they lost. They retrieve the microSD from Maya's hand. It's filled with new leads. Jake footage with Priya. Conversations about evidence stored in a safe house. GPS data pointing to an abandoned cabin in deep woods east of the bay, possibly where Priya hid files. A voice in background, muffled, hissing, "Make sure the purge is complete." The words unsettled them. Into the wild, chasing a lead. Night deepens. They regroup at late-night diner, one known friend. Maya plays the footage, Sarah marks the cabin GPS coordinates. They decide, if Jake is alive, he's in that cabin, or was under surveillance there before. This will lead them to him, or a trap. They board Maya's rental, drive through midnight roads toward the hills east of the bay. Nervous. Flashing headlights follow, but they lose the tail in twists uphill. A cabin in the dark. They arrive near 2 a.m. Fog drifts. Woods silent except wind. Cabin silhouette, boarded windows, dry leaves at entrance. No lights. Maya approaches with flashlight. The door is ajar. Inside, old furniture, blankets on floor. A makeshift desk, papers, red markings, crude drawings about human trials ethics violations. Envelopes similar to the one given to Maya, many addressed to Maya Carter. Display of safehouse notes. No Jake. They hear twigs snapping outside. Footsteps around the cabin. A drifting flashlight beam washes over the porch. Sarah freezes. Maya presses her back. Footstep stops. Cabin door creaks. And, footsteps stepping in. 1. The figure in the cabin. From the dark doorway, a silhouette stood, a tall, silent figure holding a glowing phone. The light halo flashed across their face, briefly revealing emotionless eyes. "Finally found you," they said, voice low and controlled. Maya froze. Sarah gripped her arm. "Who are you?" Maya demanded. A breath. The figure stepped forward, dripping shadows, tall but weary. Then they whispered, "I'm Jake." Maya's phone fell, cracking against the wooden floor. Sarah caught it. Jake stood there, dirty, bearded, tired, but unmistakably him. Near his boots, a rifle with cloth wrapped around the barrel. He locked eyes with Maya. 2. Reunion with fear. Maya rushed forward. Sarah followed. Maya said, voice shaking, "Jake, oh my God." He paused. Tears welled in Maya's eyes. She reached for him. But Jake dropped my silhouette. "Don't," he hissed, grabbing a lamp and turning it on. The cabin lit. Jake's face was gaunt, haunted. A fresh gash on his cheek. Clothing torn, leaves bundled at his feet. He looked wild, survival personified. He glared, "I didn't get kidnapped. I hid. I watched. They're coming." 3. Jake's story. Inside the cabin, Maya and Sarah sat across from him. They offered water. He drank without words, then exhaled. He began. "I wasn't taken. I left. After realization at Lab 2 in San Jose, I saw where they tested 49B on patients who never gave consent. They used the excuses, the medical jargon, burden of proof, silent consent. I recorded everything, but they traced me. Months of hiding." He paused at a photograph on the desk, frames from the microSD files. Maya had placed them in a box nearby. He continued. "Priya helped me get a burner phone, files, GPS. I planned to reach you with those files. But after Doc 9 break-in, they ramped up. I hid here, collecting evidence, redirecting attention. But tonight, someone followed Priya. She got me in touch with you, but we had to keep moving." Maya and Sarah exchanged glances. They realized Jake wasn't a victim, he was a resilient strategist. Jake said, "They sent men after me. I heard them tonight, on the steps." Maya crouched beside him. "They busted into the cabin?" Jake nodded. "I fought. Wounded one. He's in the woods. They're regrouping outside. We got minutes. 4. A dangerous escape. They heard muffled voices and soft banging, someone trying doors. Maya, Sarah, and Jake moved fast. Jake whispered, "We go through the back window." He climbed over the desk, pried it open. Maya and Sarah followed. They exited into the cold night forest. Branches whipped at them. Birds startled. Fog clung to illusions. They ran single file, Jake in front leading Sarah and Maya. Footsteps behind, they heard boots. Shouts. A bark, then collapse. Jake's limp, Sarah seeing him trip. He caught himself, then shouted back, "Go!" Maya looked at him, confusion bursting. He hit her arm. "You have to go. I'll hold them." Maya hesitated, fear paralyzing. Jake turned and grabbed her wrist. "Now." They ran faster, adrenaline fueling terror. Voices behind escalated. 5. Pursuit through the woods. Sarah led Maya along a brush trail Jake had scouted earlier, mapped by Priya's GPS. They bounded past boulders, logs, streams. Every footstep came with fear of guns or traps. Gnawed roots caught Sarah's heel, she tumbled, adrenaline masking pain. Maya grabbed her, helped back up. Maya whispered, "Is Jake coming?" Sarah shook head. "He said he'd hold them." They ran until their lungs burned, then emerged on a dirt road with parked car, Jake's rental SUV, with keys taped inside mirror. They jumped in, engine roaring, lights off. They reversed, turned, and sped into night. No looking back. 6. Aftermath, injured, alive. They drove in silence, broken breaths, tears, whispers of fear, memory of the rooted tree where Jake held them back. After hours, they pulled into a safe house owned by an NGO contact now working with them. Exhausted, they collapsed inside. Maya dialed 911, for an ambulance. Jake was hurting, deep gash on chest, limp, pale. Paramedics arrived, tended Jake. Sarah sat with Maya as tears fell. 7. Turning evidence into justice. Over the next 2 weeks, they transitioned from fugitives into litigators of truth. The press broadcasted Jake's escape story, though details remained guarded to protect them. NGO and State Attorney General filed joint lawsuit. Illegal human trials, no consent. Theft of sensitive data. Tampering with medical records. Attempted kidnapping and assault. Threats and violence. GRX's stock plummeted. Congressional hearing scheduled. Criminal investigators began conducting raids on Dock 9 and San Jose labs. Jake and Maya testified before a Senate subcommittee. Cameras rolled, voices shook. Jake recounted dark nights in woods. They wanted us to stop speaking. Maya closed, "This isn't about profit, it's about human dignity and the right to know." 8. Reconciliation and healing. As months passed, they retreated from the public eye. Jake began therapy. He spent time helping patients whose records he had rescued. Sarah resumed work at Maya's firm, now representing whistleblowers across industries. Maya found peace in reconnecting with clients, grounded in human resilience and justice. Together, they formed a non-profit called Truth Guard, focusing on medical transparency and corporate accountability. 9. The deep lesson. In one gathering of survivors and families who'd been recruited into the trial, a caregiver from the housing project spoke. "They told us Compound 49B would help us find jobs. They didn't explain the risks. I lost my grandmother to side effects I never signed for." Maya hugged the woman. Real people, loss, hope. Jake, sitting nearby, quietly remembered the cabin, the guns, the chase. But he looked at survivors, lives saved, bonds built, exposed darkness. 10. Closing reflections. Late one evening, Maya and Jake sat at a small dock near the pier, quiet. Maya looked up at him. "Do you ever regret it?" Jake stared at the water. "Sometimes. I remember cold nights alone, the wolves in my mind. But then I see what came from it, the truth, the accountability, these people being heard." She reached for his hand. "We saved lives." He nodded. "It won't undo what happened. But maybe it stops more from happening." Epilogue, a lesson that matters. Human resilience matters more than fear. They risked everything to uncover truth. Truth sparks change. Public exposure created legal action and awareness. Real people suffer. Jake giving voice to exploited patients reminds us no one should be secret subject. Never underestimate collective courage. One lawyer, one brother, one lab tech, their unity fueled justice.